Hello, you guys. My name is Dawn.
I'm Ebonee.
And this is my first podcast. I'm starting this because I have a nonprofit that I'm starting off called Mothers Like Me. My beautiful friend Ebonee is going to be here just basically helping me describe the why, helping me maybe asking questions that you guys been wondering, or maybe that other people would say to me.
And kind of knocking off some of the nervousness is why I'm here too.
That too, yeah. And then it would just be kind of boring, just me standing by myself talking about myself.
Right. True that.
So it's good to have this because this is what I'm going to be doing, for the future. I will be having other people that I will actually be hosting and asking questions. So again, my name is Dawn. I'm starting out my nonprofit and my podcast called Mothers Like Me. My story behind it is basically a long time ago, but probably now, well, Frankie, my oldest, is 14, so about 15 years ago. I was in high school, and of course you got puppy love, and I got with my kid's father, and we were together for about 10 years, off and on. Of course, we're kids, we're young. We had 3 beautiful children, Frankie, Orion, and Xavier. Orion and Xavier are twins, and unfortunately, probably about now 6 years ago, on July 27th, he passed away. I was the person that had to be called. I was the one that had to, identify him, call his parents. It was a really, really hard day, But when that happened, there was a lot of things that I didn't know, I didn't think of. Your whole life changes, to be honest. You never think about the person that you're going to be with, or even if you're with him or not with him, just the father of your children just passed away. You don't think about that stuff. You think about you in the moment, and that's why people say life is very short, because it really is. But after it happened, I struggled a lot. I didn't even know that you could get Social Security till later on. So someone told me, there was a lot of things that I looked out for, organizations that would maybe can help me with certain things. And there wasn't a lot, actually, So going back to work was also really hard. I was working at Sprint, and they were not very understanding. They tried to get me to go back to work. They're saying because I wasn't married, and that just because he was the father of my children, they were only going to give me 3 days.
If I can add to, I remember at the time you guys had just broke up.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of months before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
even more, because you're at work and they know you, so they just thought like, oh, it'd be.
You guys weren't even together.
Yeah, but it's like I was with him 10 years, and he was my kid. He's my children's father. This is a lot for me, So they didn't give me enough time. They didn't give me enough support. That's enough. That's also very big for me on why I would like to even make a law that it actually, if I could, actually have it where they would pretty much make it where it doesn't matter if you're married or not to the person, that you at least get enough span of anybody else that is, because you're going
grievance
through it.
Time.
Grievance time, just like everybody else. And it's not fair that they give you 3 days. What can you do in 3 days? You can't do anything in 3 days. You know what I mean? You can't even heal in 3 days. You don't even know where you're at in 3 days. Yeah, exactly.
Hit you
exactly.
3 days.
Exactly.
It takes some time for you to realize that something like that happened and what it actually means to you. And it's just really a process.
And it is. And then coming back to work, even when they finally let me have like a week, pretty much. Even when coming back to work, I still had days I struggled. I still had days where I just left. Like it was still so hard to actually cope on what's going on, or understand it.
Yeah.
So with that, when I moved on to AT&T is when I really started realizing that it wasn't just me. So right after he passed, like I just said, forget this, they don't support me. I'm going to find a new job. So my friend's already been telling me to go on AT&T. So I went on with AT&T. In the first year that I worked at AT&T, I met 15 mothers that were in the same situation as me, all different ages, from young to older, that had been through it and their kids are grown, to people that are going through it with me now.
Yeah.
And I used to always tell them, like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm actually going through the same thing, or this and this, and I would go through the whole spiel, he passed away, this and this and that. And, everybody has their thing to help them. Like for me, it was my family, but it was also too, for me, it was also, having the understanding of God and understanding that life, that it's not, there's no time limit. You can live out to your 100, or you can live out to your 20 or 10. Like it just taught me that, you know, time is valuable. And that you need to make the best of it. So when I would talk to people are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, like, honestly, like, it is what it is. I can't do nothing about it besides be positive, you know? And everyone would be like, oh my God, like, I would cry and we'd have a therapy session, or we would be, you know, just, it was a different connection. It was just, it was eye-opening to know that there was that many women out there. So I was like, why isn't there help? If I one year met 15 women that was the same situation as me, or even older and younger, because like I met a lady that was super old, and she said that her kids, they don't have a good relationship because she should have talked more about the dad. She didn't let them talk a lot about the dad. So that's what they resented her for, was that like I was never okay to talk about my father and da-da-da-da. So she let me learn that. So I was like, okay. I mean, she taught me that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to let them speak about it. And I mean, I think it should anyways. It never bothered me that they speak about it. I wanted them to actually talk about it because I think that gets out emotions and everything else. But
so can I say something? No, so just before we get, because I have a lot of questions for you, and I kind of want to like it there, but I want you to pick up your glass first, because for one, I want to cheers with you. For one, I don't know if you remember, but I met you within the first that year is when I met you. So we had just started to really get close, and I remember everything that happened there. And so
you threw me a birthday party at your house, and then bam, it happened.
Right, and so I remember like everything from that. So I kind of want to ask you. So at the time of the day that you got the news from me, I want to start there. Just because I kind of want to walk through and understand, for one, the grieving process, just for other people out there that might have been through it. So when you first got the news, how did that make you feel, just in the moment of having to realize, like, okay, he's not here, whatever's happening, what does that mean?
We were at home. I was already calling him because he was supposed to watch the kids, or the twins, but I was calling him for that and he wasn't answering, so I was just like, oh, maybe he's just ignoring me. But when I got a call from his phone from a random lady, well, she's kind of random, but not random, and she's like, you need to come to this address ASAP. And I was like, huh? She's like, it has to do with Frankie. As soon as she said it had to do with Frankie, I just hung up and I just packed my twins up in the car. My oldest was on his way to North Carolina because he has family in North Carolina. So he was on a train on his way to North Carolina. So I just had the twins. And so I packed them up in the car and I flew to the address they told me. You know, so when I get there, I can already feel it. Like, you can feel like your stomach. And you know, it's crazy because everything happens for a reason. But when I parked my car, so this is why I hate this song. There was a car at the light waiting to turn in, and it was blasting this one song. Oh, I cannot stand it, but I can't think of the name right now. But it was blasting this song, and it was just like foreshadowing, kind of in a way. Like, I didn't know yet what's happening, but I kind of got a feel of what's happening. I mean, I see he's not here, like, you know what I mean. And then hearing that song, it's a song that's about like passing or whatever, but I think it has T.I. on it, Justin Timberlake on it. It's like, I can't think of the name right now, but yes, and I hate that song because every time I hear it, and it was just blasting, you know what I mean? So I was like, I got out and I was like, I went up to them and the cops were all there, and so they were on the side. And what really made me so mad was that he was sitting there for ridiculously hours. Like, to me, that's not okay. That's not okay. You guys already pretty much know what it is. You guys should not be having a body laying there. Like, I had people email me, call me, say, you know, I seen the accident like at 5. I didn't get there till like 10. So you're telling me from 5 to 10 he was sitting there? Why? Why is he laying there? You know? So I'm not married to him, so I can't fully identify him. So I had to call his mom.
It's like you didn't have the rights to
I get tired of that. Like, you don't have the rights, but it's like I can. So I had to wait for his mom to get there. When his mom got there, then we were able to identify. And it was so crazy because for me, I would think that, you know, you would have like a whole crying fest, everything. Because I did. I panicked. I couldn't walk for a second. I was like, once we identified and he said it was him, you know. But she was numb. She was so, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Like, she's just walking me while I'm bawling. And then it's like, and it's crazy because I never even told the kids that day. But I like knew they knew. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I knew they knew something. Because, like, first of all, they never seen me like that. I've never cried like that. And second, they just could feel it, you know? And then from there, I went back to the house. And that's why I knew some funny business was happening. I don't know what the whole situation was because they had his phone in his wallet. And mind you, he's the type of person, you never get a hold of those two things from him. Like, he will hide them to the dying day. But they had him. So it's kind of weird to me that they had him. But I went back to the house and I just sat and I just looked through his phone. I just seen where he was at, what he was thinking, what he was, what maybe I can get some information on that day, And then I just got up and I just took the twins home, and I literally called my mom on the way home, and they rushed to my house. They stayed with me that night.
At what point did you tell the kids? Like, do you remember the timeline?
I wanted to wait till Frankie got home, because Frankie was going to North Carolina, so I didn't want to tell them separately. I also didn't want them to be yelling it to Frankie or saying it or something, and so I wanted to sit them down and tell them. But it was crazy, because even though I sat them down and told them, it was like a week later, Frankie was like, "Where's my daddy?" And I'm like,
this is after you told him?
Yeah, this is a week later after I told him.
And he's the oldest.
And he was just like, but I think the reason it soaked in so much for the twins, because they were there, unfortunately. You know what I mean? What else was going to do?
They seen the emotion of it, even
the feelings and everything.
They were in the energy.
Frankie wasn't. He wasn't in the midst. He came like after the smoke, kind of like, I mean, it's still there. Obviously, you see 1,000 people there. And they kind of thought, wow, this is like a family reunion. Like, all the families coming, they're playing, And I wanted that. I didn't want them to be emotionally trauma from the situation, like, you know what I mean, even though I know I've dealt with it, and all the adults are dealing with this trauma. I didn't want them to, like, I didn't even have them go to the funeral. I didn't want them to be and I didn't want also them to be like something for everybody to lean on, not for them. People would just cry or hug them because for they could feel better. I didn't want them to be an excuse, like
someone else's crutch.
Somebody else's crutch when they're already trying to. And naturally people just do that. It's not them trying to be mean or whatever the case is, just naturally they do that. So
and I have a question. Now that it's been some years and the kids are older, have they ever said how they feel about not attending the funeral? Like, do they understand that, or do they or is that even something that you guys have even talked about since?
They really, actually, they haven't talked to me about it. I don't even think, to be honest, I mean, I don't know, they might when they get older, but I don't think it bothered them, because I did let them go to the celebration after, so that they were able to still see people
like
go
a
there.
Repast, they call that thing.
So like after the funeral, we all went to eat, and everybody was in a better mood. Everybody wasn't as crying, sad. So it was good for them to be around good energy. So I didn't want them to be in that sad moment. You know what I mean?
And just out of curiosity too, was his family and your family in support of the kids not coming?
Okay. Well, they were, honestly, I would say they were really supportive of whatever I felt. Like whatever, if I wanted to bring them, if I didn't want to bring them, if I wanted to, they were really supportive on what I felt. So that made me feel really great that they supported whatever I felt. So,
that's
and like my mom's really big on, like, we don't like to put more on kids than they can already handle.
They can
what I mean? So it's like we both agreed, like it would be a lot. It'd be a lot.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And their memory,
they're already
what they already knew and saw. They didn't
I want their memory to be their last memory of what they,
what they saw. Not seeing him laying there.
Exactly.
I understand. It makes a lot of sense.
I was glad that they didn't, to be honest, and I would never like regret it or tell them something different. But having that's what also made me be like, I need to do something. Like, and the following year, after that first year, I met 15 women. The following year, I was just like, man, I should start something. Like, I should do something to help at least.
Like
at first, I was thinking like,
So
going to church, we have these like, you can come up with different, like, what is that called? You can come up with groups. And so I was like, maybe I should do that. Like, and talk to people.
At the church.
Call it like the same thing, like with mothers that lost and we could do. But then I was talking to a lady, right? And she was like, not to be mean, but she's like, I don't really believe in God, and that's not something I do.
So that would deter her from coming.
Exactly.
So you want to be more inclusive.
Yeah, so I was like, that makes sense. You make sense. Because not everybody,
believes
politics and
it is
religion is something it's hard to talk about with people because it brings emotions and all these feelings.
And you just don't know what people believe and why they believe.
And I understand if you don't. If you don't, that's fine. Like, that's not what this is about. It's
but you still want them to be comfortable coming and talking.
So exactly. So I was like, okay, so let's not do that. So then I was like, well, what else could I do? And then that's when one of my customers was like, you can always start a nonprofit. You know what I mean? It would be something like a Planned Parenthood type of deal where you could walk in and whatever is needed, we can help them with. And I was like, wow, that's an amazing idea. Like, that's what I should do. So I was like thinking about it. And every time I would talk to someone about it, they're like, you need to do that. Like, you need to do it. It was like repeatedly. Everybody just kept saying it. Confirmation. Yes. And then how I came up with Mothers Like Me was just, that simple. Like, I want to gear towards mothers that are like me, that are in my situation, because yes, I have wonderful friends and I have wonderful family members, but if you haven't been through what I've been through, you don't know my fits. You don't know how I am every day. You don't know the situation. You know, you can empathize with me, but you don't know, you know? Right. So it's like, that's why I gear towards mothers like me, because I want to gear towards women that really have been in my situation, in my place. It may not be exact, but they feel what I'm feeling. And it came from like even me running into a friend, and she had the same situation to that, you know, her kid's father passed away, and she had a question. She asked me, she was like, does your son ever use their dad as a cop-out, like when they're in trouble, like when you're like gonna get at them? Do they ever be like, or do they ever cry and say, oh, I miss my daddy, just because you know that they're in trouble, you know, because they didn't throw something away or they didn't do something, now all of a sudden you're crying about it, but like, you can to deteriorate, deteriorate, it's to deflect, like, you're gonna, I know you're gonna, that's a touchy subject for you, so I'm gonna throw that out. And just her saying that, back off. Her saying that was like, my kids do that, so it made me even more like, wow, like, it would be great to have someone else to talk to. It has someone else to say, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because, so at what point, because you just brought up a good point, so at what point, when they are going through that, especially in the beginning, at what time do you decide, okay, they can't use that as an excuse right now, I have to I did for me, at that moment, I did instantly. I said, there's two different things. If you wanted to cry about him like earlier, if you want to cry in a different situation, that's fine. And it's okay to cry about him. I get it. I'm not knocking your feelings. I'm not telling you that you're not sad about it. But we're not going to do that right now. You know, especially since I've told you what to do. And on top of it, my kids know it because I say it daily. You're not the victim. We're not going to play the victim role. We're not going to let you feed into the victim role, because I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not. I'm like, at the end of the day, things could be worse. Things could always be worse. And yes, it sucks. I'm not going to knock you that it doesn't suck. And I'm not going to let you not have those time to cry. But you're going to cry and then pick it back up, and we're going to keep going with it. Because if you keep living in it, what are you going to do for anybody? Or what are you going to do for yourself? You know, so I think that's a part of why, yes, I let them be emotional, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not going to let you cop out, because if I teach you that it's okay now, just think how much more you're going to use, you know? So. And the facts too is like, as they become adults, it's never going to change that their father is not here, and they can't commit crimes and then say, excuse will be, because if he was here, I wouldn't have done that. It's like, no, you might have done it even if he was. That. So I just, that's the reason why. And so after even thinking of my nonprofit, you know, I did have to think of a name for it. And honestly, like, I feel like everything happens for a reason. God has it for a reason. Waiting for it happened for a reason, because if I would have started early, I would have never thought of doing a podcast. I would have never thought of, you know, me having first COVID, because I was gonna do a live, or I was gonna do maybe like an intimate setting, you know, where I tape it, but post it on like a website or whatever. And I don't remember. I think honestly it was you. One of my friends was like, "Why don't you just do a podcast?" And I was just like, I never thought about that. You know what I mean? Because podcast is coming up. It's a newer thing. I mean, some people have been on it forever because they like radios and they like listening to that stuff. But it's definitely for a lot of people, yes, it's a new thing. You know, and I feel like it just made sense, because I was like, it's more of this. We can talk, we can get things out, we can make it aware. You know, there might be other people that need to speak about this. They need their story heard, or it would help them. For me, I think speaking with one of my friends that also had it happen to them, it helped me heal a little bit, because it made me feel like I'm not crazy, even though I know, alone. And you're not alone. And that's honestly what my nonprofit, what my podcast is going to be about. Is like, it's going to be about women empowering other moms, making sure to know that you're not alone. I'm here with you. People can come on this podcast and not want to do anything with it, but I also need a team. You know, and the only way I can build a team is by having people's story heard, and they may want to be a part, or they may not want to be a part. But this is also making people aware. I also want to teach or show people that just because something happened that's tragic like that, your life's not over. You know, you can love again, you can build a family again, you can start up something. You know, I have women that have their own business, or they started their own, you know, entrepreneur, you know, they're doing other stuff. They didn't just let that happen and they just died. You know what I mean? They kept it going, and they said, you know, that sucks, but I'm going to go make sure that my kids are good. And that's the only thing that we can do. If we're not good, our kids aren't good.
Yeah.
So we have to be good. You know what I mean? So, and it sucks too, because you can be the victim and say, why me, blah, blah, blah. But then what is that going to do for you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so I had to learn that it's not why me. I'm going to take this, what people would say maybe negative, and turn it into a positive. I want to actually help people. I want to actually, make us be able to go out and actually go all over the world, or all over, and be able to talk to other women, because this happens everywhere.
So what is the start of Mothers Like Me? What's the, because I know there's so much to come, and we'll get there. But just as far as the basis of what's the basic level of what you want to achieve with Mothers Like Me now, on a budget, while people don't know you, while you're getting what
for right now
to be the goal?
I just want story. I want to be able to, that's why I'm starting the podcast, and then we'll start developing the nonprofit while we're doing the podcast. But my goal right now is to make people aware, make people aware that this is going on. And yes, people know, because Lauren London, or Kobe's wife, or there's a lot of people we know from just famous, let's not say our friends that are around us. We know it's happening, but what do we do? And with them, of course, they have money, so it's a little bit easier.
They have
but they're
access
still
to better resources.
Yes, but they're still struggling as well. So for people, I want to start with my community. I want to help out. I want to be able to help my community.
An emotional support group.
Yes, and I feel like this will help. Like, say they don't want to be on here. Yes, but they want to hear, and they're like, wow. Like, say I introduce someone, and the things they're going through, someone listening is going through the same thing.
So ultimately, your plan is to have guests, mothers like you, mothers like me,
exactly.
have guests come and share their stories.
Yes.
Also talk about the tragedy of it,
of course,
but also the triumph and how they've overcome.
Yep.
And then also let people know what they're doing.
Right. And honestly, it doesn't even, some people, it just happened to them, or it happened to them and they're not maybe in the best place, but they may need help. And so this may help them, or they may, let other people know that's what they're doing right now. They're struggling still, and it's still hard. There's days I struggle in different ways, but I feel like I don't want to also put it on thick of course, some people take the bad and turn it to good, but some people are still struggling to find out what their good is, or their purpose is, or what they're doing, because it does hold a lot of weight in a lot of people's lives, relationships, everything. It's hard because, like I said, it's hard to move on. It's hard to know if your kids are needing the help, if they're not needing the help, if you don't have financial, if you don't have it, support, meaning like for instance, for me, I wish I put my kids in tutoring, but tutoring was expensive. I wish I would have put them in therapy. Therapy is expensive. So if I can have people that donate just simple things like that for a group of girls that are ready that need it, or women, that are ready to take that next step and get that help and want it, but they don't have the funds to do it. That's what I want for my nonprofit, is to bring more people together and let us build. Whatever help you need, let's build it. Let's make us better women, because if we're better women or better mothers, then we have better children, because they are the future. So we don't need broken kids making more broken kids, and we don't need that. So for me, it's like, and on top of it, I'm not gonna lie, with women, we tend to be a little spite, hate, even if a woman's going through something, you know what I mean? And I think if we bring that back of loving each other and understanding each other and being there for each other, we can make big changes in this world. You know what I mean? And so yes, this year, I just want to get the awareness. I want people to know that I'm out there. I want people to hear people's stories, maybe heal from it, learn from it. For me, I went through a lot of different learnings on my own, bumping my own head. I did go through habits of trying to run away from my problems a little bit, not even a little bit. I tried to run away for a minute, maybe go party or drink and think that would take everything away. And it didn't. If anything, I woke up even more upset, more in my feelings, more emotion. I had to learn to hit things straight on, or I went for the first year, I didn't sit still. Even my mom was like, maybe you just need to sit down. Like every day I'm like taking them to do something, going this way, this. Every day was like taking them to ice cream. About every day, even the kids would be like, so what are we doing today? Because they just felt like
got used to it.
Yeah, they got so used to it. Every day. Yeah, mom gonna do. Yeah, like are we going to Target? Gonna get some toys? And I would just feel like that was gonna fill up something, a hole or something. No, it just made them mean, evil. Like it's like spoiled kids. Yeah. So I was like, no, I can't do that. And then also like just being out all the time, it doesn't make you realize what you need to do. You're just so busy running from a problem, and it's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's just life. It's just what happens, and you just gotta learn to roll with the punches. But I think that if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to make things like this. I wouldn't be able to talk to people, and people is what helped me heal. So I know that if people help me heal, then I know that we can help people heal by just talking.
I agree. When you told me about it, I was all for it. I'm like, any way that I can help, that I have my stuff as well, and eventually I hope to help in ways, once my things are up and
you're
going.
all about like, with your
mental health,
mama.
And
you're all about mental health, being free, being healthy, and those are big things. We aren't taught a lot of habits like that too, and it does help. Like for me, a lot. I had a lot of anxiety after it, and I used to have to walk every morning just to get out, get some sun, just clear my head. Those are things that people didn't realize, that those simple things can actually help your day. Go hiking, and that's what I want to do in my organization, have a day where, we all go hiking, or a day where we all learn good habits of eating, or I know it sounds stupid, but
no, it doesn't sound stupid at all.
I feel like it's also self-care.
It doesn't
we
sound
need to learn more self-care.
I can see big things from others like me. I can see retreats.
Yes.
I can see things where, you have women all come together, go on vacations, whether it's a staycay, local, go somewhere far, have, do things for the kids, resources for the kids.
Yes.
I think I mentioned to you before, I really want to see you eventually get to where you can have the kids talking to other kids.
I do want that too. I do want to have this with
that
the children.
aspect of it, because a lot of times you don't realize that they have a whole different perspective than us, and
sometimes they don't want to talk to us.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to us, and I've learned that because like one of my best friends, unfortunately, she lost her significant other 3 years before mine, and they're close, and I know that that's a bond that they do share, that both of them. I don't really hear them too much talking about it, but I know it's a sense of like comfortability, what I mean, that you share something that I share, so it's like an instant bond.
Absolutely.
Especially with boys are not like, girls, we talk, we get emotional, but men don't do enough of talking. Men don't do enough of explaining and letting their emotions out. So I think that that's something that's necessary for them, because otherwise, from what I've heard, even from women that have grown kids, sometimes they explode, or and that's what brings me back to, like, I do believe that I have had signs, and I don't believe that there's coincidence. I think that everything's meant to happen for when it's supposed to happen. And even before I fully started this, or before we went down to get my name in the paper and
which
everything,
also happened because we did that together.
Yes, cheers.
Wait, look, y'all about to in fist
we did that together, but before I did that, I literally in 1 week met 4 different moms, and it was so coincidental. Like, I mean, I don't say coincidental. I think it was faith. I think it was a sign. It was like, Dawn, you better do it. You better do it. I was at work. I came home late. I went to work late. I just happily had to get moved to a different station. I met a beautiful woman. Same situation. Would never talked to her before. Never thought she was in the same situation that I went through. Understood me, everything. Then the next day, I was out, and I went. The next weekend. The weekend, I went out with my friend, and it was like a party. I haven't met her friends yet. Blah blah blah. I met another beautiful woman. She's older than me, but same situation. She has more kids, and I was like, whoa, like, how am I meeting? Then I went to go get my eyes checked, and there was this big old family, and I was like laughing because I've been her, like trying to juggle while getting your eyes checked, and she had all the little ones running around and one sitting here, So we sit down, and the lady laughs. She's like, God, I remember that life. I'm like, me too. And she was like, I just miss them actually being young, because right now I feel like 2 of them don't talk to me in this one, because, their father just passed like about 3 years ago. And I was like, Are you serious? Like,
Right,
not even serious on her. Like, I even said, I was like, it's not you. I said, this is just crazy to me. Like, this is, how does that just happen? And mind you, I would have never asked her about that. I would never, just how it even fell into talking about, volunteer the information.
But like you said, confirmation is going to be our word of the day.
Yes, confirmation.
Because when you get those confirmations, like I said, I'm just really proud of you for even taking this step. We're doing this. Look, we kind of got our little, we got our little setup. It's not the best, we're a little nervous. We're
shout out Yeff.
Yes, thank you, Yeff. Thank you so much. We're here. We're trying to make it happen, but I'm very proud of you because you've been talking about this for a long time. You do have a community of people around you that want to see you do this, that really believe in you, that
are excited themselves. And that was honestly the best feeling ever is when I shout out my IG and seeing so many of my friends and family or even people I didn't know repost it. It just made me feel so good. Like, okay, it's not just it's not just a thought or a process. Yeah. That's what I felt like. We were like, yay, she's finally doing it. She's finally doing it. And I feel like it just, even when, the first run that me and Yeff had, like just the ideas that was flowing about things we could see and the dream and how it was just real. And I do believe in, manifesting. I do believe in if you put it out there, you could get it. And what you positivity you put out, it's going to come back. Of course, there's going to be down moments and up moments and all those. That's just life. Like, that's what this whole thing is about. That, you're going to go through the hardship, but what are you going to do? Just roll over and die? Or are you going to just go on it full force, and say, no, it's not going to beat me? And this is what I want this all to be about, is that we're not going to let it defeat us. We're not going to let us just die. And this has been happening since the olden times, like the military, you know what I mean? They mainly knew my husband may not come back, but they were a little bit more set up, but they still don't have anything, and it's been happening since then. You would think that they would have something
better established for women.
Something that
and I'm sure there's things
together
out there.
There's
but
little organizations I've seen, but nothing
there's
that's
never
really
enough, though. And so that's why
there's not.
When you said this, I'm like, I'm sure you can Google, find some stuff. But that's almost like freaking nail salons. There's never going to be
no. And then also the one that's geared towards you.
There's never
something
too many restaurants we like to eat. There's never too many resources.
But you know
to help people.
What I wanted, and this is why I started it also, was that I would like to Google something and then something pop up like a website that said, like, if you need this and this and this, contact this person, or if this just happened to you, or something that was like made it so easy and
like a one-stop shop, like a resource center.
Yes, a resource center. And I promise you, when I Googled, it started making me more emotional. Like, who do I go to then? Like, what can I do? And I know
you said something too about, how you didn't even know that there was resources for you to get money for your children. Until a little while after. And then you also said that you met people who didn't know that at all. And you had to tell them that for them to even go to find those resources to get help.
Yes, they didn't know at all. Like,
because no one's volunteering this information to you.
So for instance, like, I met a lady, she had 5 kids, she was from Russia, like, came here, and her husband and her kids ranged from like 5 to 19, right? And he went to go get milk, he did not make it back. They had money, yes, because she worked for Google, but she's never worked because she didn't have to work. She literally just lost her whole being, and she came here with no family, like none. She had even access. She's literally was born and raised pretty much there and came here and, started life. And now she's a baby. She said it to me, but she was like, not even to be funny, like, I don't even have a resume. So
she doesn't know where to start.
But why should she? She had a man that was well off. He had good money, and she was doing her part as being a wife. She catered to him. She took care of him. She got 5 kids with him. But it's like, now her life is stopped. She has to start a new life, like literally a brand new life with 5 children. Looking at her like, what are you gonna do? And she's looking at herself like, what am I gonna do? Because I don't know. So even if I had a session of anybody that needs updated resumes or a job, fair just for them, what I mean, that may help them or understand their situation and come in and maybe work around their situation because they just want to help them. What I mean? It's like something like that. It's hard. People don't understand. It's like, you can't tell people that. You can't go on an interview and go, well, my husband just died and I got 25 kids. It's like
they don't want our sob story.
No,
they don't.
They're like, so what are you going to bring to me? But it would be great for people that actually want to help them. Just like like the jail people, they come from for jail, they actually have like little organizations,
yeah,
where they will get them jobs, and they understand that they can't do this, or they can't be around these people, or they can't do certain things, and they understand. So it would be great if I could do that. I could have people come and they will hire them, or I would already send it to certain people and they already know what they're looking at, you know. So it's like even those things, even though that sounds like, oh, whatever, but no, it's like at the same time,
no, it's not, definitely not whatever.
Deal in certain ways.
It's resources, and it's a way, and also what I've learned, because you know how it is sometimes when you're starting something, you always feel like, well, somebody could already be doing something like this, and it kind of sometimes it makes you discouraged from doing it. But what we have to realize is that everybody isn't drawn to everyone.
No.
So what you bring to the table in life counts, because you don't know what your energy, what your person is going to bring or pull out of somebody else.
Or what people, like some people just do things like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, this sounds like a good idea, I'm going to do it. They may not even know anything about it or whatever, or someone else lived that life and they're like, that would be good, let me do that for them.
Like an
or they look,
or
they look at it for money, or they look at it, you know, they don't really have, like for me, it's like I'm very passionate about the situation. And not that I'm just passionate about it. I really see, like I can see the future. I can see me actually taking this and reaching out to a whole bunch of people. Like that's also going back to the questions you said about podcasts, is that this is a way to get my name out there quicker than just sending things, you know, sending my website to a whole bunch of people, or having people show me out. This is a way to get people to really hear me. And
let's be honest, we are talkers.
Yes, we are. I'm a talker.
So we will go on and on. There's always something to talk about.
Always. So, yes. And Jeff knows, working at AT&T, for sure, I always told my story, and, you know, they're always like, a 2-hour session, you better got something out of it. I'm like, I did. But I really, like, I always had everyone of my customers, it was more than just a customer to me. They were like, at one period of time, at the end, they're like friends, they're like family to me, just because we connect on a different way. And every single person kept saying it, like, you need to do this. Like, you are a type of person that needs to do it. And that's what I'm saying. There's probably a whole bunch of women just like me out there that need to do something like this, that need to actually, or that can, or want to, like, you know,
who could be a part of Mothers Like Me. They could be a part of
Mothers Like Me, part of the team, a part of grow. The ideas, because of course 1,000 brains are way better than just one. So if they can bring things to the table, and maybe they just don't want to be a part of this part, maybe they want to be a part of the back end, like to help me with the website, or they want to be a part of the
resources that they can link to the website to help people. There's just so much to do. So the thing is, I'm again, I can't stop saying I'm proud of you, because I really am. I'm happy that it's happening, because I know it's easy for us to be procrastinators or to get caught up with our moms. I mean, you have 5 little ones, so it's a lot going on. So to see you actually put it forward and start looking at the ball rolling. Right. I'm excited for it. You know me, Mama Yoga Club. I'm trying to do some sessions with some mothers.
So
get them some breathing, some meditation. So
I
see the vision. I see the vision. I'm
and you have been there, and she's really been there for me. Honestly, she's the one that pushed me to go get my name. She's the one that pushed me. She's like, you need to do certain things. And like I said, I don't believe in accidents, but coincidence. I mean, even me and Yeff's situation of even getting back connected, it wasn't an accident.
Jeff is the one that got us set up, because she's just saying it, but she's saying it like y'all know. Jeff is sitting here with his headphones, looking at us, making sure that we're not clipping and going too high, and that, all that
and you need everybody. You need everybody to make this happen. That's why my whole purpose is everything happens for a reason. I really think that it happened, how everything's happening, it was supposed to happen this way. And I'm very excited about it. And my whole thing of why I also wanted to speak about it is because there may be more women out there. And if you are out there, I really want you to email me, contact me. I'll for sure have my website. It's still starting up, so
but it's there.
Yes, and my IG, DM
and she will be linking it to this video.
And I will for sure be linking it to my IG.
And for those of you that are listening,
it's called Mothers Like Me. There we go. Is my IG as well. So if you want to message me there, but if you want to be heard, if you want to come up here, if you want to be a part of the team, if you have ideas, anything that you think may help yourself as well as helping us, which is helping my movement, please contact me. Please let me know. Please come out, even if you're
interested in coming and sharing your story, whether you want to be on camera or not.
Yeah, you don't have to be on camera. Honestly, you could just share your story. You can just share your story with me to just let us, have a testimony. Even on my website, I have an area for testimony, because some people don't want to they don't want to, but they want to say something. They want to be heard in a different type of way. And I want it to be everyone to be heard in the way they want to be heard. I am doing like brunch sessions. So if you do want to, we can just chat. We can go out and eat. We can have girl talk like we're talking, and just have a good moment together. I know it helped me. It might help a whole bunch of other females or a whole bunch of women. And that's what I'm about. Honestly, it's about empowering us, uplifting each other.
And now we don't have those people like, well, what about the dads? What about the... Eventually, I might,
but this is what I always tell people. I'm not a dad. I don't know how it feels to be a dad. I'm a parent, yes, but I'm also a woman, just like a lot of men don't know how it is to be a woman, So the only thing I can do right now is tell my story from what I am, and that's why it's called Mothers Like Me, because I'm reaching out to other people that are in my situation or similar to my situation that understand what I'm going through. And like she said, I don't know, maybe later on in life, I might get a good father that's like, hey, let's team together. Like, let's do something together.
And he can do that aspect.
But it's teamed with us because we're already out there and we're already making movements. So
and they still be able to go on the website and see resources because the resources aren't limited to women.
Exactly. It's not limited to women. It's not going to be, and we have a certain event. So of course, it's just something right now that I can only do.
Start from your comfort zone. It has to be authentic. It's not authentic when you start trying to and be too inclusive at times. Sometimes it's okay to say, look, this is where I'm going to start. This is what it's going to be. But I had to say that because I feel like somebody already said something like that. And we had this discussion look, we're talking about moms. But I've gotten that with Mommy Yoga Club. They're like, well, dads can do yoga too. And you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, you're right.
But I'm a mom.
Right. And then
I'm in the Mother's Club.
Exactly. And we're going to do mother stuff. Right. So you might want to do it too. You understand, and I get it. This isn't just geared. It's just right now, this is what I'm speaking about because, like you said, I'm in the shoes. I'm a mother. I'm in these shoes. This is what happened to me.
Sometimes we don't want to overwhelm ourselves because when we do that, then we end up being so overwhelmed.
Or you get
that
you
we
get
don't
discouraged.
Even lift it off the ground.
So you just sit there and you just. In the end, I see that. To sum it up, I see a lot of big things happening. I see a lot of people coming. I see a lot of people sharing their story and actually helping a lot of people heal. And I think soon, probably by the end of the year, my goal is to actually have a really solid team. I need a solid team. I need people that are wanting to help in whatever way you can. I really need a solid team, and that's what I'm looking for. And I'm also looking for just people to go out there. No pressure. You could just keep listening to it. Honestly, if that would be a supportive, if you just put my name out there, share it, or just listen. Because if you listen, then that means that I'm going to have more people that are going to be on it, or you're going to be able to tell or say, hey, I've been listening to this. You should listen and you should listen. So it's just the support.
Somebody you think might need it or might want to hear it.
Yes. And that's what I'm looking for. So I will, have my link there. I will have my IG there. So if you want to click on it, just check it out. Maybe look at it. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe this is too soon. Maybe it's too much for you, and that's perfectly fine as well. But this is a little bit more. This is the whole point of this is to let you know me, introduce me to you.
And I remember too, I want to add because you told me that one of the goals was also to almost have like a place where you're supporting women in the sense of a lot of these mothers, they have businesses, they're entrepreneurs, they have other resources themselves.
Thank you.
So it'll also be a way for women to network
and get their name out there.
Get their name out there.
So how I was telling everybody about, that we took something that was negative and turned to positive. This is also a way for you to get out there with whatever you're doing. What if you got a business? What if you have a club? Maybe you have a resource yourself that you want to be able to. Maybe you're a therapist yourself. Maybe you're something that can help yourself.
Reach out
reach out because that would help. And then if you want to tell your story and shout out your name, of course. Like we were shouting out Yoga Mama Club. This is the time to do it. This is the time for you. This is the time for your shine. This was today my time to shine. And to tell you a little bit more about me, to get to know me. You're going to learn more and more about me after episode because I will for sure be sharing information with all the other beautiful mothers that I will be having on the show. And so you're going to learn more and more about me. But I had to get my name out there so you guys can know me, because you guys would be like, who is she? If I just started having people up here, they're like, and you are.
This was our rough.
This is
the
our
rough introduction.
The
rough introduction.
Yeah, this is my first one. Okay, we're gonna put this in the books. It's like this was my first one, and then when I'm like on episode 25,
with the
they're gonna be like
ambiance.
with the nice ambiance and everything. You're gonna remember this one. You're gonna remember this one. This is the one you're gonna remember. But otherwise, let's close this out. Thank you, Boo, for helping me.
Thanks for having
explain
me.
myself. Thank you, Yeff, for being, supporting and hearing us talk. He's used to that. But yeah, you'll see more of this, and we're out.